Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going through my AFL Fantasy Team Reveal Round 19 review, in which I ended up getting a 2140 around a rank of 20,583 and slipping a little bit back in the overalls to 12,359. And yes, my focus has switched over a little bit to the AFLW at the present, but I still think I can make strides into the top 10k of what's been a horrific year for me, and just taking a lot out of it in terms of just wrongdoings and what we can focus on for next year. But anyway, let's jump into the video. So as you can see there, all these stats on screen. So Wangadi Malira, he's going to be the most obvious D1 next year that I've ever seen with this new role that he's got. He's gone on ball, I feel like. If we just go back to, if we go to over here and let's just quickly grab up the likes of, I can bring it up actually here for St Kilda here quickly. And you can see Wangani Malira, the last two games against Sydney and then also against Geelong, has gone on ball and had a little bit of stints on ball against the Eagles and then also against Brisbane. Now, if we look at that, he's gone 73-151 against Brisbane and the Eagles, 76 and 131. So he's gone 207 plus. That is 280, that's 431 across 4 games on ball at certain points. And that means that that's an average of 107.75, I think, on ball. I know you'll see 111.4 and that, but he's also been tagged heavily in this game. He was tagged heavily in this game. He was also, I believe, tagged in the West Coast game, I believe. But yeah, he's been tagged in those games. If we actually just go to Wangani Malira here, you'll see it. I think it will pop up here. Maybe not exactly. But yeah, he was definitely tagged in that Swans game. It might not pick it up or something, but he definitely was. Callum Mills and James Jordan did go to him. So he's definitely a guy that will be probably the first pick next year. Just with everything said and done, because he's going to have defender status. I know we looked at how bad Sheasel is when he goes on ball. He's been stuffed over going forward of the ball. They're not going to do that at St Kilda. And even Sheasel, he only went, I think, -7 this year, so it hasn't been the worst. Connor Rozee was out, but comes back this week and should help me out. Should be another 50, 60 points better. I did hold him, which kind of did suck. I did cop a 54, a 16, and everything else in between. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people copped that, and I really, if I had Boxall on field for the 57, that would have definitely helped over Ralston and Johnson, who are both subs. That really just sucked that happened, because I really wish I could have actually played, had one of them play, etc. And then yeah, that would have worked out a lot better. But it is what it is on that front there. Probably should have, now thinking about it, but when did Carlton play? Just thinking about it, Carlton played on the Saturday night, so I wouldn't have known Boxall would have been sub, but I could have at least basically had Camporelli here instead of Ralston, and then been like, it's 22. I think that Boxall, because he's been named in the 23, you just take the risk on him beating that, etc. And obviously he was named in the starting 22. So that's how I could have got an extra 41 points and gotten to 2181, but kind of already checked out. Didn't really matter to me, those extra 41 points at the end of the day. I kind of just didn't even, I think, open Fantasy or Supercoach, other than to put the captaincy to Cooper Harvey on Fantasy because of Brodie Grundy's score. That was the only time I think I checked it. But yeah, Dane Zorko 103, he did all right. Harry Sheasel 102, that's fine. Sinclair 108, absolutely fine. And Callum Mills 105, perfectly fine. Would have liked an extra 10, 20 points from Angus Clark, who's steadily making cash now and not really making any headway, I would say, into some cash generation, but he's still at least making cash. Then we get down to the midfield, and top line midfielders of Dacos and Caleb Sarong did their job, smashed it out. Zach Butters, again, you bring him in. He does well one week, doesn't do well the next week. He has Adelaide this week. Will be interesting. Had a hard tag, I believe, in the second half of this game against the Hawks, I believe, for a 76. Marcus Bontempelli dominated, or what felt like he was going to dominate, for a 105. That was a little bit unlucky. He had 4 free kicks against, which that could have upgraded that to like a 117. And that's really where you start to get into domination territory. But only the 24 touches, probably needed to get more towards that sort of 28, 30 touch to really put up a massive score, given that he did lay 10 tackles, which is back-to-back-to-back games he's done that. But yeah, just the disposals being down really limited the ability of him to get those, to get that really ceiling score. Merit 99 just sucked. That just sucked, and he's gone back in my side. He's gone 102.99, not really done anything, and now he's just gonna cop tags, and it's just gonna be annoying and frustrating. Basically, how this whole year has gone. But anyway, is what it is. Doherty 77, probably coming back down to earth now, and probably a must trade out. Probably will go to someone like a Whitfield. I already have, I think, in my trade plans, Whitfield's going to him, and someone else, taking a 2-game flyer on someone else, I think, if they don't debut someone. So we'll see about that. Tom McCarthy 70, probably also coming back down to earth a little bit. Probably only another week or 2 away from moving him on as well to get him upgraded, because gonna need to do that as well. But he will be a little bit easier to upgrade, I have a feeling, next week, because if Zach Johnson can play, I mean, he's got 75 break even, probably don't want him to play. If the likes of an Angus Clark can play next week for 490k, if he can get himself another sort of 10k cash in and get to a clean 500, then that'll be 11, 13, and then you add in another sort of 80, 90k that I potentially have. Let me just double check this. What do I have left? 42k. That would get me to like 1160, which is sort of in the range of those low 900k guys, which if we go last round, etc., I'm sure that there's probably someone in the 800, 900k range that I could take a flyer on for a week, maybe like a Bailey Dale or something like that, and jump on him rather than a McCarthy, etc. That could be somewhere that I look, etc. there, but we'll see about that in the coming weeks. Then we get to the ruck line. Pretty happy about the trade that I made out of Tristan Cherry from what I've seen out of the rucks. If we just go to the ruck line here, Jordan Sweet obviously smashed it. Nankervis smashed it. Then you have the likes of Darcy Cameron. He did pretty well, not hugely overscoring, but yeah, job done there. And basically all the rucks went within, that you would have chose, went within about 102 and 106. So when you think about it like that, you pretty much won whichever ruck you chose, because all of them are in and around that marker there, all in and around that 1.05 mil to 1.1 mil. And then you had Luke Jackson at 83. That was probably a good thing that he underscored, and he could come into conversation now. Yes, he's got the West Coast matchup this week. That could be an interesting one to look at there as well. Will be interesting to see if there's anyone that's of value this week, etc. And who's playing who, etc. Then we get to the Bailey Smith. He just failed. Simply put, I had him captaincy in Supercoach, which shows how bad that round was. So that failed. Matt Kennedy came back with a bang after his 30. Just decided to tackle everything. Must have been just extremely frustrated. 21 touches, 9 tackles, going to get you up there. Clear, I mean, close enough to round about that 100. Cooper Simpson used him as a captaincy ploy to get Brody Grundy, who basically, if you actually look at Grundy's stats, he played 3 quarters. That was it. They rested him in the last, and now he's pretty much as fresh as he can be for the Giants game. So that could have been a monster score, and a 129 you take, because a 62 hit out. He was on track for the 80 hit outs. The last 15 minutes, he just did nothing. He sat in the forward line or on the bench. He didn't ruck. They let Peter Laddams ruck. So there's that. Maybe if the likes of if the game wasn't a 30-point game, and if it was actually tight, they would have made Grundy ruck some more, and he would have ended up somewhere around that sort of 160 marker, which would have been a huge captaincy score. But he didn't in the end, and now he's got the GWS Giants, which, if we look here, this could be, again, I'm just going to say this up front, this could be another just VC category game, Friday night game. This could, like, in all honesty, if we just look at it here, GWS are a +7 in the last little bit, and round 19, who did they play? They would have played, who did GWS play? Let's actually just check. They played Essendon, which was basically no ruck, was it? They played Todd Goldstein. If we just look quickly at the stats for that that game there, if we bring them up, I just want to see what did Todd Goldstein score. If we look at it, he scored Peter Wright. Oh, they went with Peter Wright and Visentini, and Visentini they subbed out on 36, so that's why it didn't probably qualify. But Peter Wright and Visentini scored a little bit between them. And then you had Kieran Briggs went relatively large alongside Riccardi. If we look at Beretta Grundy's last time out against GWS, 76% TOG for a 60. So maybe not, but I think he's in much better form because you see he really actually remembers how to play footy basically after that GWS game, and then it's been in a run of 111 plus in his last, is that 10 games, which is quite a ridiculous run, to be honest with you, when your last 5 is 125, which I'm pretty sure I've captured almost all of that. Yeah, I've captured 125 his last 5. So yeah, I may put a VC on him just because I have a feeling that he will be able to dominate that game against Briggsy, and then he comes up against against Visentini or Goldstein. He will probably dominate that game like he did in the past there with a 115. So he's got that, etc. So he's going to be probably VC for the rest of the year almost. Yeah, Petrarca, he sucked. Brought in Luke Parker for a 48. Don't know if there was many other forwards that I could have brought in other than probably Dylan Moore. That was probably, I would think Dylan Moore's probably the only guy I could have brought in. Yeah, Dylan Moore would have brought in another 100 or so points, which would have definitely got me up the ranks. Sean Manor as well. He could have been one that we should have probably considered. But you look at all these form guides and it's like 1 week they're good, 1 week they're not, 1 week they're bad, 1 week they're great, etc. You could have brought in, I could have honestly brought in Chad Warner as well. I think he was in the budget. So yeah, there's just a lot of guys that I probably could have brought in that I didn't, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And then Darcy 74, he just really didn't fire against Brisbane, but he does have Essendon where he's probably going to kick 6 or 7. So there's a potential VC candidate there because they're on the Friday night alongside the likes of the Swans Giants game, as I have a feeling people are only probably going to be watching that Western Bulldogs game to just see how many goals Sam Darcy kicks on basically nothingness of a defender line. But that's pretty much it for this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I will see you guys back here for Monday night. We'll have probably the trade targets for the fantasy, and then Tuesday night we'll have my Supercoach trade targets. That Tuesday night video might be a late one, and then Wednesday will be a AFLW live stream for the just to get in all that. To start that up as we start to head closer to the season. And then Thursday you will have all my videos coming out, my team reveals, etc. Well, the fantasy team reveal and the tips nice and early on the Thursday. So I'll see you guys in all of that planned for the week. Bye guys.